Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today, we are taking a surprise look at Chapter 51 of Kaiju number 8. Yes, another chapter dropped this morning, surprising us all. I was honestly only expecting an art chapter, and this will be the spoiler-free review. To kind of TLDR everything, this is a second beat chapter waiting for the third foot to drop. It is action-packed. There is some amazing art. It starts off linking back to the previous chapter by hitting you right in the feels with the cover. I mean, that is just some cover. Then you get your standard recap section. And then we get right into Director General Isis Shinomiya, where we left him off, and it tells us what happens in the next few seconds. Time is an interesting factor in this situation. Given just how much talking went on between Kurusu and Director General Shinomiya, and how much number 9 was blathering on, there was many seconds, if not a few minutes, of interactions here. But this was not enough time for either Captain Narumi or Kaiju number 8 to make it. Now, I don't know how far away that commandant was from the battle site, but because it was a mobile commandant and they didn't just stay in the main base, I'm assuming it was reasonably close. And I'm not going to call this a plot hole or a major issue, but it's probably the first technical thing that's bugged me in an irritating way and not in an, oh boy, I get to make a theory about this way. So yeah. We've seen how fast Kaiju number 8 and how fast Captain Narumi can move. It doesn't quite make sense to me that they weren't able to get to General Director Shinomiya a lot faster. Now, obviously, the story couldn't progress if they had, but there weren't any Kaiju number 9 answer clones slowing them down. And again, we just don't know how far these buildings are apart or what kind of terrain, I guess, Narumi and Kafka had to travel over, but again, it's bothering me just a little. One other thing I noticed is that we get an interesting moment in this chapter between two characters that shows us where their brains are. And one character appears to have completely not checked out, but is so 100% focused on what he's doing that he's not paying attention to the things around them, but the other character is watching and is ready. And it's a very interesting interaction that gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels, and it's framed so it's more like 8 panels, even though the first few and the last panel aren't specifically about that. It shows an interesting aspect of the relationship between these two characters and how they've changed. So, but generally Matsumoto does this for something more. So I'm curious to find out what more Matsumoto is doing with this. We get to see more interactions with Kurusu. The kid's got guts. Kid's definitely got grit, even if he's a wimpy, weak-bodied science type. And then it comes right down to it, and nothing in this chapter is unexpected. Again, Matsumoto is really, really good at making the predictable so thoroughly enjoyable that you don't think about it being predictable until after the fact. This chapter went by really, really fast, partially because of that. And when I do my spoiler review, I'll get into a few details that really stuck out to me. But in a non-spoiler way, the iconography of the kaiju is getting more and more interesting as we go on. What I mean by how Matsumoto presents the kaiju. Matsumoto, I think, is a fan of high art. What I mean by that is a lot of the poses we see are very reminiscent of the greatest periods of the Renaissance painters. You see characters standing in these specific poses with limbs outstretched and other features of the landscape creating effects of auras or wings behind them. The big one was way back in chapter 44, so it was 6-7 chapters now, when Kaiju number 9 bursts out of the ground and stands in front of Kafka with that ring behind him. I did a whole video on how that image was like a stained glass window. And to a lesser degree, that's all through the following chapters as well. Kaiju number 9, I think what Matsumo was trying to show us here is that Kaiju number 9 sees himself as the good guy. Which makes sense. I mean, nobody sees himself as the villain, even at Kaiju. And Kaiju number 9 is a very methodical creature. He's very scientific minded. He wouldn't be doing all of this without a reason. And I think in his mind, that reason is going to be for the greater good. And on another note, from the very beginning, we've all noticed how talky Kaiju number 9 is, especially for a Kaiju who, usually don't talk. But Kaiju number 9 loves to talk to himself. He loves to monologue while he's doing his thing. And that's been a good way to exposition dump naturally and easily. But it's also been kind of odd because Kaiju number 9 is aware of his surroundings. He has to know that he's giving information to the enemies when he does this. So why is he doing this? If he knows he's giving information to the enemy, isn't that information super suspect? Like, how much can we trust of what we've heard from Kaiju number 9? But most of what he said has been borne out by what we've seen around him in the reality of this universe. Now, in this episode, that takes another twist. In that incessant chatter of Kaiju number 9, something is revealed, something is exposed, and it's very interesting, and I'm probably going to do an entire video on it alone, let alone just noting it in the full spoiler review. But it's all about choices and cooperation versus orders and coercion. And it's a very, very interesting facet of Kaiju number 9's personality that we've seen, and it kind of makes me wonder what more we'll be learning about him in the future, because I for one am not convinced that even if this massive body that we saw crop up in the last chapter is completely destroyed, that if it was completely destroyed, that it would be the end of Kaiju number 9. Kaiju number 9 clearly has the ability to generate multiple bodies. We have even if this is his main body, we have no idea if there's not a backup body that can become the main body like clownfish do. When clownfish lose their alpha female, all the males duke it out and the strongest male becomes the next female. So again, no matter what happens to the alpha body for Kaiju number 9, I doubt we're seeing the last of him. Meanwhile, it looks like there's another chapter dropping in 7 days, and it seems like on these really dense story arcs, we do get 3 chapter dumps, so I doubt it's going to be an art chapter. But what do I know? I was expecting this to be an art chapter. So, what do you think? Is there a chance that Kafka and Captain Narumi could permanently eliminate number 9? Or is he going to be the reoccurring big bad of the series? So leave a comment below telling me what you think. Check out my books in the links below the video. Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data, and Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote. Hit that like and subscribe button. If you've already subscribed, check to make sure you're still subscribed, because YouTube does unsubscribe people. And share the video if you can, and peace out, my wonderful viewers. Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, and Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data. 2 books in a series of human absurdity. Go check out these short story collections. What will our little green friends think of us when we finally do make it to space? Find out the answer in 2 books of human absurdity. Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, and Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Google Play.